Hi everyone and welcome to the Fisher Flying Products channel. My name is Dave Hurtner. Today, as promised in my previous video, I'm going to be giving you two video segments from Algy Yates' youngster build. Algy is going to be showing us how to make a wing rib jig today, as well as he's going to be showing us how to make wing tip ribs using a jig. So here we go. This is Fisher Flying Products. I'm Dave Hurtner. Welcome to the Nest. Our video newsletters provide weekly insight into building and flying our 15 wooden aircraft designs. Polini Motori of Italy is a gracious sponsor of our channel. Polini's the manufacturer of the Thor 303 DS. Cozy Carb Ice Prevention Systems is a proud sponsor of this channel as well. Please take the time to watch our videos to the end, as this assists us in the metrics that YouTube uses to rate our channel. Hit the like button if you feel that the content is worthy. We invite you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hitting the bell so that you are notified whenever we post our newsletters.
Hi and welcome to the channel. In this video I start making up wing rib jigs, as you can see here. So let's crack on. I've got the rib plan here. I've got Draftsman's copy paper, which is a plasticized type sort of tracing paper, so it doesn't get affected too much by moisture. It doesn't stretch and change shape like that. A lot stronger, more durable, than normal types of tracing paper, greaseproof paper that you might normally use for copying. Worth the extra few pounds in the purchase of it. It's clamped down here. I've drawn a datum line on the plan and I've just used that to copy on here. This is just to allow me to align it onto the pieces of MDF which I'm going to use. I'm going to use 3/4 inch MDF, or close to 3/4 inch. So rather than the sort of normal bit where you copy the line and then rub on the back or use carbon paper and try to copy things through, I find it much easier when you want to transfer something like this to something else, is to go along at about 1 inch intervals along curved areas, and in other areas just sort of datum points, and make a small hole in the copy paper, and I'll just draw on here, the area in which things are going to go as a little bit of a reference. But I'm going to do that first off. Then I can clamp this to the piece of MDF, and where the holes are I can put pencil marks, and then I can draw redraw the plan, and I can reproduce this a couple of times. So the idea is I'm going to create one board which will be used for one set of wing ribs, a second board for the other set of wing ribs. Bear in mind that the wing ribs are the same top and bottom, but if I make all the ribs from one jig for one wing, they'll be consistent. The other ribs will be for the other wings, say the top wings, they'll be consistent. I'll make up the jigs for doing the two front sections here, the half ribs will be created, so that in theory each sitting or to a construction time I can make up 2 wing ribs and 2 nose ribs at the same time, and that will increase my speed of creating ribs, because we've got lots of ribs to create. I haven't really counted them, to tell you the honest truth. I think it's something of the order of about 36 full wing ribs, something like that, and a few less nose ribs. Let's not frighten ourselves at this stage. So, You won't be able to see it, but I've done the dots. I've gone around the outline really accurately. The inner side here, because the width of the wood is not critical, it's the outside shape that's critical. The spar lines are critical at both ends here, where the spar goes at, they're critical points for the width and the set, so that the ribs will sit correctly on the spars. This section here, I'm actually going to put a block along the back face and not do this T section line here. I'll fit the T's, or the cross piece here, after the rib has dried. That way I can taper it at each end so that it's all central, rather than offset to one side specifically on all of the ribs, or I can offset it for the root ribs as well. So that's a little bit of an adjustment on my half for making up those ribs there, because as you can sort of see, it shows the cross section, it's offset to one side. I'd rather have it sort of central or offset according to which root it is, otherwise you're going to end up with having to shave some off on the roots where it meets up with the fuselage or the two top wings meet together. So that's this bit done. I will now transfer that over onto the MDF. We've got my MDF. I've sprayed it with some white car primer so I can actually see the marks going through. I've got the copy paper over the top, and I'm literally now just going along, putting a pencil through each of the holes individually to produce a small dot mark on there, which I can then use to join up the lines. Now I've got all the dots on here. I'm just going to join the dots. I'm going to use a rule and draw out the rib lines for all the verticals and all the diagonal straight line bits with the rule. Just going to draft those on, and then so all the lines are drawn for the straight line stuff. So I'm now just going around the outside edge. As you can see, I've tapped in some tacks just to make sure they're there, and they're all on the dots which we created. So I'm just now pushing out this bit of bass wood against the pin, so I can now draw a curve, and I can confirm that I'm meeting the requirements. By the way, it meets up with the dots in between, so that way I can make sure I've got a nice fair curve that the top cap section of the rib will be able to conform to. I can confirm that I'm actually online because it's hitting all the dots. So there's that curve. I'll do the other ones just off camera now, and that way we'll have the whole thing drawn up. I've inked in the lines a bit to make them a bit more obvious using a fine point Sharpie. I've dealt with that. The next bit I need to work out is where am I going to put holes to allow the clamps to go in to sandwich the strips, so I can actually pinch onto the strips to hold them in place. So I'm thinking a hole at the front here that will allow two clamps to go through there, a hole there, and a hole for each one of these going back, And then once those holes are cut, I will be able to start putting in blocks around the edge. The basic wing rib jigs have been created. Still a lot of work to go on them. The holes have been cut as described earlier to allow for the clips to go in to hold the bits of wood together while they're joined in the middle with glue. These I did by using a hole saw and then just smoothing out the edges and getting the contour I wanted just with a straightforward Dremel tool. Slightly different shapes on each one, but suited to give me the access requirements. So what will come up in the next video is the preparation of the surface of the jig, the fitment of various types of block and work to make it so it works in cams, so that we've actually got a workable jig for use for making up the ribs themselves. So join me in the next episode. Hi and welcome to the channel. In this video I make a routing jig used for making up a series of components like these. So let's see how I make it. This jig that I'm about to create is to make up the nose rib sections, the very front rib bit here, to go onto the front of the forward ribs. There's 34 of them I believe that are required. So again, like everything where I've got several to build, I like to create a jig, and this is going to be quite a fast way of making these components up. Rather than where I've just got a couple to make up, I'll just do a tracing and go through from there. So just going to go and draw around the outline in the normal manner that you would sort of trace. I'm using the drafting copy paper. So just a bit of carpet tile adhesive. I'm just going to give this a quick spray to help mount this on. This is the advantage of the copy paper, is it is moisture stable. So here's my my bench guillotine. It's rather aged. I made it up myself. I would not like to say how many years ago. But it's ideal for this type of work. It'll cut up to sort of 14 gauge steel and up to about 12 gauge aluminium alloy. There we have it. We've sort of nicked around the edge there, not too much to file off. This section here I will cut out with a normal hacksaw, just cut down into the corners there, but I'll put the soft jaws back into the vise before I do that. Okay, so I'm just going to run the drill through here, through the first hole. It's a 3.3, and I will put in one of my little pegs which I made from a stub of a 3.3. It should fit just fairly nicely like that. That will hold that in place. Just deburr the back. Let's deburr the back, and then I will that will fit on there. I'll do the same now. Drill through. put the other peg into that, and then what I'll do is, after I put the 2 pegs in, I'll draw around and I'll just cut that out roughly with a jigsaw just to get that roughly to shape, and then we can carry on from there. There's my MDF block with the aluminium template on it with the 2 pegs. They'll be glued in permanently at the right height once I've got that sorted out, but to start off with I'm just going to get this to shape using the sander. So it just needs finishing off now carefully with a file to make sure that these corners are nice and square and straight. The metal template used to make the block, placed it in the centre of this piece here. I've drawn around it, trying to get a sort of fairly even clearance of about an inch all the way around, and I'm going to just cut this out with a jigsaw, and this will be sort of the main base section. Cut out the centre of here, around that, mark this base plate, drilled it and countersunk it to take screws, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bond these and screw them, the blocks together to get things moving forwards. So just going to mix up some resin. It's going to be bonded and screwed. See this in time lapse. So you saw me bond this piece of MDF to the base section of MDF and our central piece. What I've done off camera is I've bonded on some 1/8 inch birch ply onto the top face here, leaving a whole section there. I've just sanded this to match the top plate, and I'm going to go around here and just route this back to the shape of the hole that we have in the top section. I've routed around the hole here, so this is now the same shape as the bit underneath. Next task is just to seal the wood with a bit of varnish. These lines are corresponding with the straight sections on here. Wood surface sealed, and I've just put a piece of wood along the bottom here that will just help hold everything in the vise for when when this is in use. So we'll do that to start off with. I'm just going to mix up some epoxy just to hold these pins in. So this is just a fast setting epoxy. So a bit of plywood, the thickness that we're going to be using. Make sure that's flush. Same this side. Just wipe a squeeze out away from that. And we'll let that cure. And then we'll go through and we'll make a test piece and see how we get on. Okay then, so the process, I've cut a piece of ply using the template. I would just normally, when we go into production, I would cut a whole strip and then just cut these off accordingly and nest them together in various forms and use a jigsaw to cut those into sections like this. I've put a mark on there for the first hole to be drilled. So there's the first hole. I can put this onto this drilling jig now, there, along with my template, and drill through there. So now that's got the 2 holes to match the template. So next step, our piece of wood that we've just drilled, push down onto the 2 locating pegs, and now I'll just go around it with the router. Bearing in mind that this isn't the aircraft grade plywood. Now the marks which I put on top here allow me to draw the lines which will allow me to just clean up the corners where the router can't quite get in. We can take our piece out, give that a light sand. As I said, this isn't aircraft grade plywood, so it's a little bit hairier. And chips out a little bit, but there we go. So just a little bit of a sand. And there's one item completed. So compare that to our template, and literally just got that little bit in the corner there to take out with a square file or something like that, or and I can create a whole bundle of them all to the same standard. There we go.
Thanks again for watching. We try hard to bring you interesting content each week. To help us out, please like and share our videos if you feel the content is worthy. To receive the latest info from Fisher Flying Products, click the subscribe button and ring the bell. See you next time in the nest.